Good evening, I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. My colleague and co-host Gordon Chang of Forbes.com is here with me, and the events of these last hours means that we go immediately to Ottawa, Canada. This is the capital of Canada. For those of you not listening here in North America, this is an intimate neighbor of the United States of America. It is impossible to separate events in Canada from events in the United States. We experience them with the same media, much in the same time zone. We speak a very common language of our heritage, of our colonial past, and our independence. So it's a pleasure to welcome a member of Parliament for Mount Royal, that's in Quebec, the Quebec state of Canada. This is Irwin Cotler, whom I've spoken to often over the years about terror in the Middle East. This is terror in Ottawa. Irwin has spent the day in lockup in the Justice Building, I'm told, which is not attached, but nearby the Parliament Building. Parliament Hill was under attack from one shooter confirmed, now deceased. There's one casualty today, a member of the Canadian military, following an attack on Monday with a vehicle, a member of the Canadian military dead. Both these events look to be single, what is called lone wolf terror operations. We don't have clarity, so I go inside the Justice Building for the people of Canada. Minister, a very good evening to you. Thank you for this, and thank you for your very long day to speak to us. Please describe to the audience what you saw, what you experienced, because this is the tumble-down events of things in chaos around people. Good evening to you, and where were you when you heard the shots?
Well, I was just on my way towards the Parliament building. We had our morning caucus scheduled for 10 a.m. Some had already arrived there, and shortly before that, a gunman had murdered a Canadian Armed Forces guard who was guarding our war memorial. And that has a particular resonance because it's in remembrance of all those Canadians who fought and died in the First World War, Second World War, and the like. The same gunman then made his way to the Parliament building, which is just minutes away from the war memorial, somehow managed to evade security, entered the main center block, actually, ironically enough, right into what is called the Hall of Honor, which is the most compelling part of the Parliament building. Fortunately, all the members of Parliament in the building were gathered in their caucus rooms, so none were milling about as they usually would have been at that hour, which otherwise it could have been, God forbid, a real bloodshed. The gunman was then killed in an exchange fire by a security guard. However, it was left unclear as to whether there were any others still in the building, whether it was a lone gunman or whether there were others associated with him. And it's only now, in fact, as I'm speaking with you, that we've just been told that we now have a security clearance, and the Prime Minister has just finished addressing the nation, as have the opposition, as has the opposition leader.
So, Minister, you'll be now able to leave the Justice Building, or do you still have to stay there?
No, I'm now told that I can leave the Justice Building. I've been, for the last 11 hours here in my office, not unlike the others in this building, and not unlike those who remained locked up in the Parliament building because they were unable to leave when the building was evacuated.
And tomorrow, will the government function as normal in Ottawa, or will there be special procedures?
Well, there's a clearly enhanced security. I might add, not only enhanced security here in Ottawa around the Parliament buildings, but there, police chief in Toronto has announced enhanced security and public transit and public buildings there, enhanced security also in Quebec. So I guess you might say that in Canada we are, and the terror alert has also been heightened in that regard. But the Prime Minister has just stated, and this was very recently, that, as he put it, Canada will not be intimidated, will not be terrorized, and will not permit assaults on the cradle of our democracy. And in this, he was echoed by the leader of the opposition. In fact, all three parties spoke in unison today about their commitment to maintaining, I don't want to use the term business as usual because it is not and will not be business as usual, but their commitment to maintaining our democratic way of life and not to be allowed to be cowed or intimidated by terrorist threats or terrorist actions.
Irwin, you now serve as a member of Parliament. You have most recently served as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada. This is during the war fighting earlier in this century, so you're very familiar with the security issues of Canada, especially keeping people safe and the threat of Takfiri jihadists, the threat of Al-Qaeda and related jihadists. We have information that the attack on Monday was by a Canadian citizen who was sympathetic or radicalized by Islam. The attack today, again, it's a Canadian citizen who is said to have converted and changed his name and was sympathetic with jihad. Your opinion now, watching this as a Minister of Justice and now a Member of Parliament under attack, is Canada right now secure from these attacks? Are you satisfied that everything has been done to protect the people of Canada?
Well, ironically, that today the government was to table legislation to put in place enhanced security procedures, enhanced surveillance. The RCMP and security officials have identified 90 Canadians that are being surveyed or monitored at this point and who are at risk of leaving to go off and fight in some terrorist theater, let alone those who might be returning from those terrorist theaters. And of course, we've had ISIS has made direct threats to Canada, both before and after Canada joined the international coalition to fight ISIS and other terrorist groups. Canada and Canadians were threatened that they would bring terrorism to our shores. We know as to the first killing on Monday, as you mentioned, that this was done by a radicalized Canadian who had converted to Islam and who was already one of the people being surveyed. In fact, he had been arrested on October 9th, but released because there was insufficient evidence, the security officials claimed, to charge him. We know also, with respect to the person who committed the crimes today, although there's less information, that he too appears to have been a convert to Islam. We don't know yet whether he was one of the 90 that is being monitored by the security authorities. We don't know whether he too was one of those who intended to go fight abroad or whether he had any association with a terrorist group. But it might be noted that the Prime Minister, in speaking just a short time ago, did characterize the events today as terrorist acts, associated them with what had happened 2 days ago, and associated these sets of acts with terrorism of ISIS. So the Prime Minister was trying to connect certain dots. We will wait and see what the security authorities tell us more later tonight and tomorrow.
Gordon, we have about a minute. Go ahead.
Minister, it would seem that the ultimate challenge for a Western free society is to maintain its openness in these types of circumstances. How do you think Canada will do?
Well, I think Canada is committed, and again, all three party leaders said we're committed to maintaining our democratic way of life, and that means committed to ensuring that Parliament remains the open, cradle of our democracy. There will be enhanced, security procedures, because clearly there were some security breaches that took place today, though I want to commend the security that ultimately resulted in the death of the gunman. But there will be enhanced security procedures. This may be, in some sense, a wake-up call for a country that has not been one that has been the target of terrorism in any way like you have been in the United States or in European capitals and the like. So we will have to have enhanced security procedures put in place, enhanced anti-terrorism measures taken, and in particular, I think, preventative approaches. We have to do more about countering radicalization, about countering the radical extremism that leads to these attacks. And so on the issue of prevention, there will have to be a comprehensive set of measures put in place.
We thank Irwin Cotler. He spent a very long day in lockdown in Ottawa. He's been in the Justice Building, which is very near the scene of the gunfight earlier at the War Memorial. He served as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada earlier in this century. He's been in the Justice Building. He's headed home. We thank him very much for his help. Gordon Chang of Forbes.com. I'm John Batchelor.